Yeah, whoever messed with the white speaker, that's when it started muting.
Let's try. Hear me now.
You gotta get your speaker going.
Now we can.
All right.
Turn on your speaker.
Microphone
Tom, you missed.
All right.
Is this Luna? All right.
All right. Well, next we would go to Carol. Let's give it a minute and see speakers. Otherwise, you're going to have to.
Is this a PJD? What is this? PJD?
It's Bluetooth. It's known as Luna.
Oh, okay.
We're hearing you now. We're hearing you at the meeting now.
Very good.
Okay, that's what's going on.
All right, Carol. Well, you missed out on a good chunk of what we were talking about, but we did have a treasury report and some information. I think that also we'll get that up on the website for people who missed it on the Zoom. Next up, Carol, can you actually do the web site information reporting?
Everyone else online, if you can mute yourselves if you're not speaking.
Yeah, I can share my screen if you allow screen sharing, but it says here host has disabled screen sharing.
Man, this is complicated.
Now you know why we appreciate Kevin so much. Maybe he's trying to power off because, eh?
Ah,
No, it's I'll go back to the no, it's the carrot. No,
I don't see it.
to the right, to the right.
Reactions?
No.
Share screen, there you go.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to allow sharing screen. Just a second.
Is there a little arrow next to that though? Yeah.
No. Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go.
Do you see it?
Allow participants. Yeah,
Right there.
there you go.
All right, Carol, I think we're good and
It works. It's
we
working.
need,
Good.
we need 2 computer people at one time.
And we have people in the waiting.
Yeah, there are people in the meeting.
Okay.
that. David Caton, 7.
Okay.
All right, Carol, we're going to get a 3 more in and go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. This is, I'm Carol, KP4MD, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're giving the web resource report for n6na.org, River City ARCs, for the past month, which is the month of August. And we'll go to the next screen here. Just a reminder that our website is URL is n6na.org, and we keep information updated there for all of our club activities and information of interest for the general amateur community here for our members. So we recommend strongly go there and check what's going on in the community and with our club there. Also want to thank the website design team. Everyone's listed here: Tom, Kevin, Jojo, Sylvia, and myself. It's a labor of love to keep this website going. A reminder also, our nets meet on Wednesday night. So tomorrow night at 8 p.m. we'll have the 2-meter net on our repeater, 145.25 megahertz repeater. And that net is also accessible via by the Echo link N6NA-R and also via All-Star, and that's node 53410. At 8:30, we'll have our 10-meter net that's on 28.420 megahertz upper sideband. All are welcome to join in the net there on 10 meters. And then we have our slow scan net at 9 p.m. on the 441.30, our repeater there. And that's also live streamed on YouTube, our YouTube channel. There's a link for that on our website also, which is n6na.org. Website activity for the month of August, we had an increase from the previous month. we had an increase from 812 up to 876 page views during that month. And the peak number of page views occurred for some reason on August 17th. Couldn't exactly figure out why, but it was that day. Also, the most visited pages, homepage had 396 views. Then our Slow Scan TV net page, then our Nets page, and the Magnetic Loop Antenna project page, and our swap page. By source, 44.7% of the visits we had came directly to our URL and 6na.org. 37.6% were directed by Google, and the rest were from some other sources as well. Most of our visits, of course, came from California. So we had 632 from there, 27 from Texas, 19 from Minnesota, and a small number from other countries and states around the world. And our social media has been pretty active as well. Our YouTube channel now had 390 views, which is an increase in 41 over the previous month. That was during the month of August. We now have 377 subscribers to the YouTube channel, 625 followers on our Facebook page. Twitter page has 150 followers, and we have 31 members on our Discord chat. And all club members are welcome to join us on the Discord chat. It's kind of a little intercom, real-time intercom that we can chat with each other. And if you're interested in that, just send a email to us at contact@n6na.org and we'll get you on board. Again, that's the email to reach us. You want to reach anybody in the board of directors or any of the officers, or you have any general questions for the club, just send an email to contact@n6na.org and we will direct it to the appropriate person. I want to thank you very much, and we'll give it back to whoever's running that. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. We definitely need an audio visual person to do this going forward if we're going to do remote and local. I'm Tom Cutter, Whiskey 6 Bravos here, the vice president of the club. Kevin is in Davis and they have a power outage. So if you're in the PGE land, they are cycling through. They may come back later. We'll see how that works. Tonight is Homebrew, and we'll see who's here to do Homebrew. I know we have one for sure. Raise your hand if you're doing a Homebrew presentation.
We got three.
We got three, and I think we've got actually 3 awards, so you're in good shape.
Four. I saw you got here to say something. Yeah, it's not going to be. When I talk about it.
So we also have a presentation who is not competing because he is one of our judges. So since Wilson, you're in the front.
right.
This is going to be complicated because I have stuff in the way, but I think you're a computer person. You can get that out of the way and get your presentation.
You know what I realized? Do you have yeah, let me see. I'll get this going. Let me see if I can find the file and then get it loaded.
All right. So Wilson has a PowerPoint, and so he needs to share, and it's in downloads.
Okay.
Master.
And
Aha.
I do not have PowerPoint,
Thank you.
but if you click on the image, it'll bring up what I do.
I think it'll there's
I do have an app.
this is called I forgot what it's called, but Max Steen Keynote can read PowerPoint.
Wilson, what year were you first licensed?
I think 95.
Yeah, we have an award for a new ham too, so you're past that. Sorry.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
before you get too far into it, you need to share this.
Okay.
I think we're sharing the screen. Can anybody see his presentation and start?
No.
Should I email my presentation?
So what
Not
I'll,
visible here, not visible here.
what I'll do is I'll work on getting the screen shared, and I'll
Share everything.
share everything.
Hey, gato.
Okay.
Quítate, anda para adentro.
Oh, no.
And so I'll just do the desktop. Okay.
Hi.
Hi. Next step. And I'll put this in the slideshow button again.
Mine is 1959.
That is.
Whoa.
You confused it.
I think sharing the screen has caused an infinite loop. So
Oh, okay. Well, stop that. What I'll do is
I think if
it's still the loop though.
yeah.
If you can, click, minimize the view.
We'll have to unshare.
Was that what it's probably doing up there?
Go ahead. If you see it,
Yeah, thank you. So I'll try this again.
just do the keynote.
I'm seeing your screen.
Yeah,
Okay, so
what's doing for us is we are infinite looping my screen. Here, so we're gonna try
I'm gonna stop the share for right now. I'll go back.
it should, if it's up. it should-
Now it's okay. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what it's gonna do. There's keynote there, but it won't. Oh, it's good. All right, hang in there one more minute. So with keynote, I'm trying to put it in the mode of. I'm going to play the slide.
Maybe-
Okay,
There you go. Play. Yeah.
let's see.
You can see it, Carol.
Yeah, if you play the slideshow, there it is. I can see
Yeah,
it.
we win.
You're up.
All right, do I get my money now? All right, well, good evening, everyone. Could you give me some feedback if you think I need to do
Go to
something
register.
different? But it looks like what I'm sharing
If you register, you get stickers.
is a please mute if you're not participating. Thank you.
Huh?
What I'd like to do
Oh, there
is
you go.
move
Put the Yeti on your butt.
this thing here out of the
Yeah.
way because it's
Obstructing some of it.
yeah, it's obstructing the view of the presentation and I don't have any control of the cursor. And that's not good. So let me,
To the left,
Mhm.
you see the things just to the left of you. The cursor again.
Nice.
I
I
don't
like
even see the
Yeti stuff.
cursor.
You can see, it says.
When you
3
wiggle
people,
it.
Wait, go ahead and go up to that first anyway.
Okay, right now I have no control. Oh, don't see the cursor, that's the problem.
Oh, it's up the top of the
Hey,
screen.
Gato.
Get it at all.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now, when you get back to your Zoom,
Uh-huh.
uh,
I can minimize this maybe,
yeah, you
Get-
can just grab it there.
kind of get that out of the way. And then I'll play the slideshow.
Yeah.
But I need to get this out of the way.
Pull that down.
If I can figure out how to get it out of the way. But I can't get it out of the way.
There must be a minimize button there.
All right, let me try it again. Once again, we're getting closer.
Hey.
All right, so let me introduce myself. I'm Wilson, November 6th Echo Mike Foxtrot, and I am
Ándale.
Isn't that the mic?
Foxtrot, and I wanted to share with the group here a unique mobile rig station. And so one of my favorite cars, just so you know, is a 1999 Porsche 911 Carrera Type 996. And Marconi said, in the new era, thought itself will be transmitted by radio. N6EMF said, for this homebrew contest entry, a 1999 Porsche Carrera carrying Yaesu FEM 300. Porsche is the carrier. And so there's 3 reasons for this mobile rig install. The number one reason is I wanted to install a mobile rig in my car so that I can participate in our Wednesday night nets from my car and away from my shack at home. And the number 2 reason was I wanted to be able to share this unique experience with the club and also other Porsche car, Porsche
Oh, it said something?
that are interested in ham radio. Third reason is I wanted to be able to listen to other clubs' nets while on the go, commuting or traveling or waiting in the car for my next adventure. So there's a white spot in the middle of the presentation that's really confusing things. And I didn't have that, but I'm not sure where that's coming from. No, it's not related to that. So it's something in the interface, but I'll go ahead with this. So I had, like most people that are installing a mobile rig in their car, they have concerns. My concern was to try to preserve the resale value and aesthetics of a somewhat collectible sports car. I wanted to have ease of removal. I wanted to have no drilling, cutting, or otherwise disturbing the metal of the car's chassis or the bodywork. I wanted to keep strong RF fields away from sensitive vehicle components. I wanted to minimize accidental battery drain. And then some of the challenges that I ran into that I wanted to share with you are, first off, making the commitment and selecting the car to install it in and the actual gear. So was I going to install it in my Toyota Corolla or my Porsche Carrera? And what kind of radio was I going to use to put in there? That was one of the challenges I had to overcome. And then number two was choosing the installation location for all of the equipment, the glass mount antenna, the routing of the wires and cables in the trunk in the car, the transceiver chassis, the control head, the external speaker, and the microphone. And lastly, the power lead, the battery terminations. Big deal. So first thing you need when you install a mobile rig is an antenna, right? That's got to be the most important thing. In fact, I thought to put the antenna in would be good because I installed the antenna before I had the rig. So I started off with this MFJ 1734 as the part number, glass mount antenna. And this is the car profile on the left. You can see the antenna kind of stuck to the glass, sticking up there. It's 26 inches tall. And on the right, there's a picture in my driveway of a kind of frontal view of the car. You could see how the antenna was installed in the early days of the installation. Was about 6 months ago. The on-glass mobile mount antenna, here's a view from the inside of the car. I put a white towel on the outside of the windshield so I could take this photograph. That's to reduce glare and to provide some contrast, but the final adhesion of the antenna was misoriented. I didn't orient it correctly. I got some things wrong here, but the vertical radial should be, the vertically oriented ground radial should have been horizontally oriented, but it works well. The VSWR was adjusted to its lowest point at about 1.6 to 1. And here's an idea for wire looms. Old bicycle inner tube. All you do is you get an old bicycle inner tube, you cut it, and you lay your wire in it. And that's one of the ways I was able to manage my cables and my wires in this installation. I do not recommend this for high temperature applications. I actually did set fire to inner tubes as a kid, and I do they are. Don't use this in your engine compartment or something like that.
Yeah.
Don't catch a rubber on fire. And so one of the next most important things is the power leads to the battery connection. Well, if you're running a Yaesu mobile rig or any type of rig that draws significant power, you're going to end up with like a 10 or 12 gauge cable. You're going to need some significant ring lug type crimp connectors. And I chose these. I found these at I don't know, Walmart. They are you need two of these to terminate the cable and connect it to the battery terminals. And in my Carrera, in the front is where the trunk is, in the back. So they call it a front. But in the front of the car, since this is 1999, there was a 6 CD changer there. And I selected that spot there on the left for the spot for my radio transceiver. So I took the CD changer out because I never used it. And on the right, you see a photograph where I'm pointing to the spot. Remove the vacant spot for the transceiver. Please mute. Thank you. And here's the workbench showing me marking drill holes and getting ready to set the pilot holes and mount the chassis and everything to the same bracket that I removed the 6 CD changer. Next up is here's some work in front of the firewall. I'm preparing firewall penetrations that were already there, fortunately, in this car. There were some existing grommets on the left. You can see me cutting into an existing grommet with a utility knife. That grommet was unused. I said, I'll use this one. And then I just used an existing porthole on the right for the CD changer. And there's my bicycle inner tube as a wire loom behind the battery in the upper right. Here's a finished product aerial view of the front of the car, looking down inside the trunk. You can see the mobile radio transceiver situated there in the upper right-hand corner of the carpeted area. And I think I neglected to mention that I did, this is a Yaesu FT300D. I apologize, I didn't mention that, but that's a dual band transceiver with a detachable head. It's got 50 watts and it can do all kinds of other stuff like GPS, ARRL, and some other things. So things get worse before they get better. If you look at this photograph here, there's the unmounted radio on its bracket. There's wires and wire looms hanging out all over the place. And I thought it would be interesting to show how things get worse before they get better. And this was just prior to wrapping up the job and buttoning things up. And so there's another photograph close up of the chassis mounted deep down inside the front. There's a little section of bicycle inner tube repurposed as a wire loom. And now we get to the inside of the car. Here's the control head installation in the center console inside the cockpit. It's right in front of the gear shift, and the microphone is to the upper left of the stereo. I drilled a couple of holes into a blank switch plate in the car. That's where the mic bracket is mounted. So here's another view of the rig lit up at night, ready to be used, tuned into the N6NA repeater channel 145.25. And here's the external speaker that I picked up that works really well with this radio. It's a Yaesu MLS 100. It's mono. It has a mono plug on it, and I really struggled to find a mounting location for the speaker. So then the speaker ended up mounted to the floor in the footwell. And here's another photograph of the interior of the car, kind of with everything in full view, the radio there. And I wanted to just kind of elaborate. There was a surprising cable count. You know, there was the antenna coax, the power leads, the microphone cable to the transceiver, the control head cable to the transceiver, and the external speaker cable to the transceiver. So to me, it just seemed like so many wires to manage and to, you know, to kind of control. It was just when I look back, it was a lot of wires and cables to deal with, in my opinion. And that scrap BMX inner tube wire loom really came in handy. I love that. So I was going to go over some aspects of the installation that I really enjoy. The antenna performance is satisfactory. This glass mount MFJ dual band antenna, it works as intended. I mean, it's a lot of guys would scoff at it, but it does what it's supposed to do, and I have no complaints. For the FTM 300D, that's the transceiver. What I really like about it, obviously, it has a detachable display head. It's got forced air cooling. It's capable of 50 watts RF output. It's a dual band transceiver. I guess they call it dual watch. It has dual VFO. You can display any combination of UHF and VHF that you want. The top of the screen is one band and the bottom of the screen is the other band. And it has separate volume controls for each VFO. And it is an awesome radio. I really enjoy it. I'm also pleased with the half-an-hour automatic power off function. So when you have a radio directly connected to your car battery, when you turn the ignition key off, the radio just stays on. But there is a special function in these radios called automatic power off, and I implemented that. I enabled that for a half an hour. The only thing I don't like about it is if you're driving down the road for a half an hour and you don't touch the radio, it'll shut off on you while you're driving, but at least it gives you a warning chime. And so that really comes in handy. The other thing I'll say about that is I'm gonna implement or enable the feature for the automatic transmit cutoff. So if you sit on the microphone key, there's a function in the radio where you can tell it to shut off after 5 minutes. The external speaker is the other thing that I really enjoy, but it's posed the most difficulty locating a permanent mounting location. Little available room in the cockpit of a sports car. Just recognized the sports car didn't even come with cup holders. So where do you find room for a speaker? I'll just say that the FTM mobile radio and the MLS 100 speaker puts out strong audio, especially at 6,000 RPMs. So I'll just say a couple of more things. I really enjoy the placement of the microphone. I found a nice spot to hang the mic. I'll leave a copy of my presentation available for others to look at, but if you're interested in my parts list, I prepared a table describing all the parts involved in this mobile rig installation. And if you have any questions or comments, fire away. Go ahead.
After all of this, would you consider this meeting all of your objectives?
It does. It meets all of my objectives. It met all my challenges and all my concerns. Thank you. Go ahead, Bob. The power leads were fused from the factory. I did not cut it. The battery. Oh yeah. So the fuse is actually 12 inches away from the battery. You can see it. The red lead coming from the battery in the back of the trunk is draped across the middle of the photograph, and the first fuse is right there, 12 inches away from the battery.
Is receipt held to the floor of the vehicle with the bolt?
Yes.
Vito makes a really nice mount that has a fork on it that goes under that.
And that worked. And that's the microphone. Can you hear me now?
She can hear you now.
All right. Well,
We're
the good
back.
part is that James has got his own computer with him today, and you will hear him directly from his computer.
We can do that, right?
Go ahead and
You do it from here. See.
he's here, but he's going to be zoomed. How about that?
That's true. Very good.
And that, there you are.
That working?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was first, well, hold on, let me make sure they.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, no. So if you just mute the, yeah. All right. So I was first licensed in 2021,
All right.
September 2021. All right. Well,
I love seeing those girls.
Tom, can you mute your computer and then it'll stop the feedback?
What did Vivi eat before she got on the boat?
I did mute.
You did.
Muted.
I could mute mine.
All right. Is that any good? Okay,
Yeah. I don't
can they
care.
hear me?
You can speak from here.
All right, I'll speak. Okay. Somebody online, will you give us a thumbs up that you can hear me?
We hear you.
Carol's thumbs up. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Woo. All right. So let's, that's that working? All right.
Yeah.
So, I've been a ham since last September, October, September. I took all 3 of my exams at the Carmichael
Oh,
Elks outside in the cold. Yes, Kurt. In fact, I think, did we take an exam together?
We may have done.
The general,
I did my
maybe?
general
Yes, I
last
think we
February.
did. Yes, I think. So, but I've been involved in radio and interested in radio for years. When I was 16 or 17, I got my first FCC license when you had to drive to 555 Battery Street in San Francisco. You've done that? But that was for commercial work. I was working at commercial radio stations, automated stations, I was really into it. And, and I'd always wanted to become a ham, and I finally did because my wife and I started camping. And I realized that we were in places with no cell service. And that brought me here this evening to be with you. So I bought this ARRL end-fed halfway antenna kit for $69. I think you've all seen it. Some of you, Wilson, do you have it?
I'd love to have one. So
Yeah.
I want to hear about it.
All right. Well, this is what it looks like when it's completed, right? You should not install this in a Porsche Carrera, although you could try.
At 120 flat.
You know,
Put a sale on it.
so this is from the ARRL website. This is what it looks like. Comes with the plastic case. I'd never even heard of a step drill bit before, but you have to get a step drill bit to drill the holes in the case. So these are all the bits and pieces. And you know, for me, you know, many of you were in the military, worked in radio, whatever. I'm a political
Love her,
theorist by
just the way
training,
she is.
economics and political theory. I am not an engineer, but I've always loved mechanical and engineering things. So this was for me.
So why
Yeah.
were you at 555 Battery Street all those years ago if you're not into this electronics?
Well, I am, but I've never built anything myself. Like, I think it's cool and I wish I understood it. Well, now I'm finally beginning to understand it. So let's see if we can get this to move to the next. All right, so this is, so you go from that to this. And so this is the kit that I put together. You can see those perfectly drilled holes. You can see the toroid and the wrap. And the capacitor, the yellow capacitor here you install if you want to use 10 meters. So this is the antenna I use on our 10-meter check-ins on Wednesday nights. The hardest part was the instructions are terrible, particularly when it comes to doing the wraps on the toroid. So you can actually see that I had a false start. You can see some bends in the crossover there. And there's like multiple instructions available and a little difficult to follow, but I eventually figured it out. One thing that I wish I had done if I were to build one again is that I would have stripped those wires first. The copper coating on the wire needs to be stripped and soldered in several places, as you can see. And I should have stripped those before I secured the toroid onto the mount. But
what I use for that, if you ever run it.
yeah.
I cut little package strips of like 220, 400 sandpaper.
That's what I did use sandpaper, but I was working inside the box. And I should have, that's the
Maybe a Dremel, right?
the Dremel, right. And so here it is, hanging about, well, so given my configuration, it's a terrible inverted L. That's about 20, the box is probably at about 20 feet up, and then it goes the bottom of the L and then down about 60 feet. It's about a 66-foot length wire to another tree. It works. I'd like to get it up higher. I talked to Lithuania the other day. I talked to South Africa this week. It works in a non-ideal condition. And I love doing voice. I haven't really moved into digital yet with my 100-watt Yaesu 991. I do want to get that 300. I do like them. And so go ahead, Tom. So questions.
You had it at 20 feet. How did you get it at 20?
Marty Gunn, one of our members, board member, I think borrowed the tennis ball shooter.
Ball launcher.
Okay.
And
They're good for squirrels.
and so I went into my neighbor's backyard. Marty and I worked together a few shots, and we got up. I'd like to go up higher. I want to get like a 40-foot Vibroflex pole or something, and I actually want to lift up a rope. I have an arborist throwaway. Has anybody ever used one of those? They work great. I used it on field day, which I don't think you liked very much. What? Yeah. It's a 8-ounce beanbag attached to a rope, and you spin it like David from right. And you have to wear a glove because you got rope burn. And it actually works really well. It just takes a few shots, but it slips through trees, so it works pretty good. Yeah.
I have, matter of fact, 2 or 3 years ago, I got second prize this past year. I have a slingshot that you fishing the line.
I've seen those, but
I think Tom has seen it in action. We
Yeah.
use a few days, and if you ever want to try
Thank you, Neil. Yeah, that would be, so it's a yeah.
To toss it to the lip and stuff.
No, it's just the line, and I painted the lead in the orange color.
Okay,
You can see it.
you can see it.
Anyway, we can talk offline. I'm okay.
Thank you.
Keywords that so you can find me.
All right, good.
So I was gonna ask them,
Good.
did you allow for a trees moving? Did you put a spring and hook up in it?
That's one of the other things I need to fix. On one end, I have an insulator, and on the other end, where the other tree is, I have it hoisted through an insulator, but there is enough. It is able to move, but it's not what I'd like it to be. I'd like to do a spring or a pull.
There's 2 ways. There's a spring.
Yeah.
And counterbalance. And I would recommend the counterbalance.
This is essentially a counterbalance as it is right now.
Have you tried just out in the hills?
I haven't. That's one of my next,
Well, you said you can't.
yes, so I want to do that. I mean, eventually I'd like to, while this has been working, I think I have to admit a commercially made end-fed antenna would probably be better for permanent installation, but I
What
don't.
is the coding on the wire?
It's just it's like a black 16 gauge wire. I think it's whatever it came with the kit, like a six. Yeah. Tom, did you have a question? Wilson?
I was gonna ask him, were you on 10 meters with this last week?
I was.
Okay, sound pretty good.
You always sound good too, but that could be, you
We're
know,
close by.
yeah,
But
so-
I was wondering if it worked on 10 meters for you.
it works on 10 meters. It doesn't work great on 20, and I don't know if that's me or just 20. I think I need to get out of, what was that? More height.
It's too close to the ground probably.
Right, and my neighbor along the side yard, this is what I want, why I want, part of the reason I want to get elevation is they have a steel roof. And I know that's not helping. Yeah,
No.
You know what you need to do is to get all the neighbors in the neighborhood,
yes,
part of your
HOA, yeah. Bob,
to help you put up a tower so that you can get that antenna where it needs to be.
and I'm gonna tell them, you need this available for the neighborhood if there's an emergency.
Absolutely.
Wi-Fi sharing.
Wi-Fi sharing is good.
Does it work on all the other bands with the capacitor in there, or do you have to take it out?
No, it works, it works.
So it's,
It works pretty well on the other bands, but it works great on 40. And it actually works well on 80 as
What
well,
is the
with an antenna tune.
power rating?
200. I think it's 200 watt.
Capacitor in there?
Yeah. Well, I soldered it so perfectly. As you can see.
Very cool.
I think they said I think it's a 200 watt.
It's across,
yeah.
across the feed line terminating.
Right.
A
Little mica?
Point, and those capacitors are
Man,
rated
Mike
at 1
needs
gig.
to those.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
He said it, he answered my question, that's rated 1 gig.
Yeah, so it's
And
fine.
at determination point, you're not gonna have that high. voltage.
Right. You can see where it's
Maybe 200,
soldered in.
300 volt maximum.
Yeah. One thing that I also did wrong but overcame is at the top here. I'm going to turn on the laser pointer, but we'll see. Where the coaxial connector is that I installed that 90 degrees wrong for purposes of soldering
Well, you know,
inside the
electricity,
box.
you gotta turn either right.
Right,
or
or left. All right. So it was a little difficult to solder because the trough was sideways, but I
Is
mean,
this the first project you ever tried?
except for old Heath kits. I mean, I used to work at Radio Shack. I used to do stuff. Used to have what, 101? What were those? Yeah, what were those kids? Yeah. Long time ago. Exactly.
The case, is a plastic case.
It's a plastic
Does
case.
that have gasket on it, so it's waterproof?
It does. So
I
you,
read about that
you-
in QST sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so you can, the gasket is in this little plastic bag here.
Yeah, okay.
So you run the gasket
That little
around
groove
in the grooves, and then it seals.
So you don't have to put RTV in there.
Right. It,
And he can take it apart.
yeah. So
You can take it apart.
I haven't had it in a major storm yet. But if I'm not on 10 meters one night, you'll know why. If the tree catches on fire. So any questions from the audience out in Zoom?
Sure. Can you hear me, James?
yeah, Carol's speaking. I think.
Yeah, this is Carol.
Hi,
Yeah.
Carol.
Okay, yeah. Maybe you can tell us what is the relationship and what are the turns ratios and the impedance ratios on that toroid transformer there?
That's a good question. Well, it's a 49-to-1 transformer,
Okay,
and I guess it's 50. Yeah,
It's 3 and 24.
there's that.
I think there's three
Yeah.
taps on that, isn't there?
There are three taps. You see, you can see There's
Yeah.
one at the bottom here, the bottom right. There's one into the coaxial connector and then the double one
You
over
can
there.
actually get that close.
Yeah, it looks like there's
Yeah,
2 turns on the primary. And then a total number of 14 turns on the secondary.
Right,
So the ratio is 2 to 14 or 1 to 7. So the
Okay.
impedance ratio is the square of 7, which would be 49.
Okay.
Yes. Very
thank you,
good.
Carol. I'm sure that was on the extra exam and I don't know how I passed that.
Because you had just studied.
Because I just studied, that's right. But I recommend this kit to anybody who's looking for ready to go camping or, I mean, again, I don't know how durable it is relative to like something, you know, but it'd be totally fine for a QRP or anything like that. And if you can get the wire up for $69 and the pride that goes into doing it.
It works.
Right. Yeah. And I'd be happy to lend my step drill bits.
Those things are great.
They work
Yeah.
really well. I was
It's
surprised.
just like a cone with different levels.
It's like a
Yeah.
cone with different levels.
Through.
Yeah.
And instead of.
Yeah. Right. And I thought it'd be much more difficult to use and it was
Well, and
It was
especially when
good.
you're doing big ones,
Yeah.
even if you're using conventional drills,
oh, yeah.
you do a small one and then a bigger one,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
a bigger one. That's the
Yeah.
proper way
They have
to
all the
do it.
pilots on them.
Yeah.
And this is like, yeah, you
Yeah.
step through, you go through
They're
X number until you get.
So I got a kit on Amazon. It's got a whole set of these. So if anybody needs to borrow,
Yeah.
you let me know. Any other questions on the Zoom feed? All right. Okay.
You did good.
All right. I'm gonna stop sharing. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Mental
Did
notes.
you give them feedback about the directions?
I should.
Are they in Japanese? Or
They're
Chinese?
just not clear. They're,
If
they're,
it's,
yeah.
well, they could be in Chinese.
Could be, or a translation.
Well, I mean, if I bought it from ARRL and had that kind of equipment, I'd be sure to write that. You should do something, you know, there's a lot of dead spots here. If you do a lot of work for many, many years, you understand a lot of stuff. If somebody takes that, it's new in ham radio, and they're gonna get that, you know. I mean, I can't believe
You
this
don't
stuff
want
is sold today. I bought a big transfer pump for gasoline.
Yeah.
No value at all in the box.
Yeah,
A few weeks before that, I bought something else from this on Amazon. All this stuff today, it's amazing, coming overseas is no translation, there's no manual on the box.
Yeah.
You get a big box from anybody anymore, and sometimes like for computers and stuff, the font that they use, you have to be an ant to read it because it's so damn small, I can't read it, right?
Yeah.
And so you get those once in a while, but I bought at least 5 or 6 pieces of stuff this year, reasonable prices, and no
have you
instruction.
gotten one yet where it actually says go online and print them in?
Oh, yeah, I know about that.
That,
We've been getting
so
that
some
for
of them, they don't
decades.
want to give them a website. My husband got one that's getting the ant prints. And so I was thinking.
Get an ant for the magnifying glass.
Beam it at you.
Yeah.
There, that's good.
And then he ends up with a
Some of them
real
are
one.
$100, yeah, but a lot of them you can't find these. A lot of stuff we don't have.
We need to move on to the next one. We have Ken. He's going to.
Okay, Ken got.
Well, let's find out.
Okay. I'm Ken, KE6RMN. A couple of years ago, I started getting interested in solar power for field use. I have, don't ask me why, but I have 4 deep cycle marine batteries for use in power. And I wanted a solar panel, so Harbor Freight came out with a new 100-watt panel. And I went and bought it with a 20% off coupon. And then I needed a charge controller to go between the panel and the batteries. Now, I picked up a battery box to put one in for carrying around that comes with USB. The lid has a USB port, a cigarette lighter port, and two 50-amp power pole connectors. So I went out and bought a charge controller and mounted in this box. I went to Harbor Freight, got their small Apache case. I mounted the charge controller in the lid. And then since my panel has an SAE connector on it, I bought an SAE connector on Amazon, and a bulkhead connector, drilled a hole and mounted it. And then on the other side, I mounted two power pole connectors, a single one to go direct to the battery, and then the double one for the loads. And then I wired them to the charge controller. I went with the box because I wanted to keep it modular so that I could use it with various configurations. I don't have it tied to one box that I can't use with something else. So it worked pretty well. I used it at field day last year and it worked fine.
The controller in there, is that programmable so you can set it up for different type of panel configurations and voltages?
I'm not entirely sure. There are some adjustments you can make, but I'd have to dig the manual out that came with it to be sure. Yeah, I know it's just for regular batteries. Some you can convert to use with lithium, but this one is not.
But your deep cycle batteries are sealed lead acid?
No, regular car type batteries, but they're marine deep cycle.
Heavy duty.
Yes.
This one.
Yes. Okay, any other questions?
How many amps can you run?
The charge controller is rated at 20 amp.
Oh, well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I could have gotten a 10, but I figured I can get 20 for the same price. So let's go with that.
What size is the panel physical?
The what?
The physical size of the.
Oh, I'd say about
3x2?
something like that, I think.
And the voltage?
The what?
The peak voltage.
Well, it's rated at 12 volt.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Including all of this, you had an objective, went through a process, you did a design, did the fabrication. Would you say at this point, your project met the objective?
yes, I would. And I'm very satisfied with it.
Yeah.
You also used it this field, did you not? This field day? You used the field day this year as well, right?
Right.
Yeah, I remember you setting that up. So you had voltage issues originally, and you were using that as a debug tools. Came in handy.
Yeah, 'cause I think last year when he had issues with his battery or something going,
Well, yeah.
getting messed up.
This year it worked fine. Last year I didn't have this and I had various other problems. With battery, radio.
So this year you fixed it.
This year we had a lot of heat issues as well, like today. Okay, for our last presentation, we have Bob. Bob, are you ready to do it? And we'll then do a short, brief judging to see who wins. And so these are our judges over here. He's actually presenting something that is unjudged, but it'll be interesting, I'm sure.
He has a screwdriver now.
Get money for.
Okay. Ham radio is an infinite hobby. There's something for everybody. And I have a problem that I tend to want to do everything. And so I had to constrain myself. You know, I'm only going to do HF. I'm only going to do single sideband. And
Okay,
I'm going to do home brewing.
Okay. That was Carol. Just continue with what you're doing, but there is one of the Zoom people also has a presentation. All right. Joe Giambo.
Okay. So my thing is HF and home brewing and single sideband. Most hams I think are VHF hams, you know, handheld hams, and I think they ought to try HF. So I think they should give it a shot. You can buy or build an HF rig for a cost of ranging from $9 to $209 and up from there. I recently bought this $209 rig. It's called the µBITX, $209. It is a screwdriver kit. I bought the full kit, $209 delivered to my house by DHL. It includes a microphone, and it took 1 hour to assemble it. You can go to the website and see the parts that you get, and you can screw them together in an hour. And it is a very fine HF transceiver. It covers all bands from 80 through 10. I've checked into the Wednesday 10-meter net several times at 5 watts. At the 80 and 40 end, it's 10 watts. At the 10-meter end, it's 5 watts. So it works very, very well. The receiver is excellent. And it was, the kit is put together by ladies in India. Guy by the name of Asher Farhan. I guess I should show it up here. People can see it. Asher Farhan lives in Hyderabad, India. He's a terrific guy. I met him at Dayton. Had multiple conversations with him. And he knows America very well. You know, you wouldn't think he was Indian to hear the things that he's knowledgeable about. I mean, he's an expert on jazz music, for instance, and just a brilliant guy. And this is version 6 of the µBITX. I built version 1 and 3, I think, and now I'm on to 6. And he has an SDR version coming out that's in the development phase at this point, you would say. So on the front of this, there are 2 knobs. This is for fine tuning of frequency. Over here is volume control, power on, power off, volume control. There's a touch screen panel in the middle. On the back, there's an antenna connector. It's a BNC, and power plugs in here. So $209. It works fabulously. Put it together in an hour. So, you know, if you can come up with $209, you can get onto HF. Of course, you'll need an antenna of some kind. You can buy it. You can buy it, yeah. You know, Paul Wilson, yeah. Or Phil, yeah. Buy a ham stick at ARRL, you know, and get on the air on the 10-meter net at Wednesday night. So anyhow, any ham can build a radio from scratch, though, with help from an Elmer, and we have a number of good Elmers here in this club. So I'm going to show you an example of that.
It looks like a box.
By the time I get it here, everything's gonna fall apart. Not work maybe, but should be able to get it going. Anyway, this is a simple CW transceiver. And what I'm proposing to do is to have everybody give me $9 or give Jojo $9. And for your $9, you get 60 parts. You get a breadboard, a strip board. This is a strip board. You can solder into a strip board, or you can just plug into the breadboard like I've done here, prototyping board. I think you should start by plugging into the prototyping board and test it, make sure it works, and then move on to a strip board if you want to keep a permanent copy of it. And you can put it into an Altoids tin after you eat the mints, you know. So anyway, it does work. What else am I going to say? Takes about an hour to put this together. I'm thinking we can have 2 sessions, or 1 2-hour session, or 2 1-hour sessions. We'll build a code practice oscillator in the first hour, just to make sure everybody knows how to plug the parts in correctly and follow the schematic and get up to speed with the code practice oscillator. And then we'll move on to the transceiver. Now, there are 3 versions of the transceiver. There's the version in a breadboard. There's the version plugged into the strip board. And then there is a version that's an enhanced version that has twice as many parts. And this kit, the $9 kit, would have enough parts for any version. So that's my idea. What else? Guess I should set it up and demonstrate it. So it'll take me a little bit here. I had to tear everything apart to get it here. When you throw things in a box and move around, sometimes things come disconnected, but we'll see.
How does that affect your buddy?
I don't know. I haven't tested that. Okay. Guys in there. Okay, people on the camera can't see what I'm doing, but anyway. And then the knob fell off here.
It is the on-off switch, right?
Yeah, it's on off in power. Yeah. You can use this stylus to change the frequency.
But the frequency range that you have, but the frequency you have.
All ham bands. Yeah.
What kind of filtering do you use in the final? So it doesn't have spring emissions all over the place.
I'll show you where you can get the schematic and study that, but it's really, really good. I've been on multiple bands. I've been on 80, 40, 10.
It's within FCC. I think it's 5. So they all ship.
Let's get this out of here. Oh. Couple disconnections. It's transmitting from the transceiver over to this transceiver. There's a dummy load on here, a couple of resistors for 50 watts, and a dummy load over here. So yeah, the speaker on the transceiver. Yeah. I'll hold this up so that people can see it. Remote people, the display. Anyway, I think that's all I was gonna do, other than if you're interested in spending $9 an hour or two of your time, would like to do this, you know, speak up.
We'll put something on the website.
Okay,
Alright.
yeah.
What is the device you're using for transmit on that thread?
Well, this is a key.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm talking about the thread.
How's it transmitted?
What is the device that's actually producing the RF?
It's just a transistor,
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's an oscillator.
Just a simple
transistor,
oscillator.
Simple oscillator, pretty much, yeah, yeah.
You have the
So,
little cute ones that go on chips, you know? Signetics used to make them. And you could put them on 40 meters and they'd run.
what are you talking about? I'm sorry.
The Signetics used to make a chip. When they sold them in the Bay Area, they were much larger than like 555 that I see on there. They were 100 milliwatts and they were an integrated circuit.
Okay,
And you put a crystal on it and a couple of components and a battery. And they run 100 milliwatts. You could actually build a small transmitter that was
sure.
so small that you could probably put 5 of them inside of a tuna can. Because they were one chip.
Right.
Now, this one here is just a transmitter.
It's a transceiver. I don't have anything hooked up for receiving at this point.
But it's separate.
It is a transceiver, two-way, yeah.
That's cool. But
Yeah.
What is the difference between the different versions? You made?
Oh, there's really two schematics. Yeah, the simple one you could put on the strip board or do in the breadboard. The more advanced one has twice as many parts. It's really two schematics. Yeah.
What about?
I don't know. Minimal.
Do they furnish a printed circuit board?
No, there's no printed circuit board. No. No, you get 60 parts and a breadboard and a strip board and
And a bag full of patience.
and
the key, right?
and well, there's a micro switch Morse key that will come in the kit.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, we got a guy online that's got it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm done. If you're interested. Okay.
All right. So stay tuned for building the oscillator. That's going to be on the website, and there'll be another project. If you haven't seen it before, they appear every now and then, and it has a PayPal method of throwing in your $9 to get it, and that definitely keeps the spot for you. They know you're there, so give that a try when you see it. There's always been good turnout, so look forward to that. All right, we're cleaning up here. He's got his parts on the desk. So Joseph, you're next. Have you shared via Zoom? And do you hear me? More importantly.
I hear you.
All right, good deal. Go ahead and you're up for your presentation. Go ahead and try through Zoom and share your screen and your app and,
Okay.
And you're up. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, let's see if I can do it. So you should be able to see my content in theory.
Yeah, well, we see you. Okay,
So this should be, you should be able to see my radio, right?
we can see your radio, yes.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna try to do a live demo instead of a PowerPoint because I'm dangerous like that. But this is the goal of the project was to build essentially a radio beacon for doing fox hunting or amateur radio direction finding. I don't know how much of I'm a newer member to the club, so I don't know how many people within the club are really enjoy amateur radio direction finding. But I teach kind of a professional class called Direction Finding with Wireshark, specifically teaching people how to hunt down Bluetooth and Wi-Fi transmitters. So I really enjoy ARDF and finding beacons, and I wanted to do something a little bit more high powered, a little bit more challenging for some of the people who are also interested in that. So I needed a beacon box to do that. And the goal was to have it so that it was DTMF controllable. So we'll see if I can DTMF control with one hand, but we'll see how this goes. So in order to control the DTMF, this also has a passcode. So I can come in here and I enter the super secret passcode of 1234, and then I can tell it to start transmitting using 1.
So this is your beacon source that you're setting up, right?
Yeah, so this is, I'm just gonna let it finish identifying them and turn the microphone off.
All right.
But then I can come over here and show you the actual beacon. I just didn't want to bring it too close because it'll blow it the radio off. The goal of this beacon is to be left out in the woods or in a park or somewhere, and basically have near, it's still a controlled station. I still have full control of it over DTMF and radio. But the idea was if I'm not around to control it, I put a lot of stickers on it to scare people away. And to keep essentially radio muggles away from messing with it. And this also has a length of chain, so it can be secured to a tree or a pole or whatever we feel like. But I'm going to open this in the internals. This is, you'll notice that it does have a Chinese radio inside. I'm using a Baofeng UV5R. And I'm using a Ryobi 18 volts 1+ system battery to power everything. The reason I use Ryobi is I have a ton of these around. And then it gets converted from 18 volts to 12 volts using just a easy solid state buck converter. And then I use power poles to distribute the power, and I power the control board as well as the Baofeng UV5R. So it has the ability to output 5 watts. And that's pretty good. It lasts on a 4 amp hour battery. It lasts the greater part of day and a half, pumping out 5 watts for 30 to 45 seconds every minute.
Can you show the antenna? I don't see the antenna on the outside.
Yeah, so the antenna is just mounted on the outside here. It's just one of these like Nagoya whip antennas.
Okay.
And so it just secures and stays away. It's got my phone number on there in case, you know, police decide to make sure that it's not some sort of explosive device. But I also put enough labeling and to tell people what it is.
What is the modulation on your transmitter? What do you modulate with?
CW, perhaps?
No, so it's using a microcontroller that just plays out and outputs the audio into the HF on FM, and it's a 2 meter FM radio.
Okay, so what is the actual audio that you're modulating on it? What is it, Morse code? Is it voice or some kind of digital tones or something?
I'm outputting essentially the analog audio from the microcontroller, which is being modulated by the transceiver as just straight audio.
Oh, okay, so it's a regular, like an encoded voice. So
yeah,
so you'll just hear voice. Okay.
And essentially on the transceiver is generating the audio tones in hertz, and I have it the way it's set up is you manually program in hertz each of those tones. So it's kind of a pain, but it works. And then I also have in CW at the end, it'll identify my call sign multiple times to tell you what's going on.
Is there a way we can actually listen to the message it's transmitting now?
I can turn my radio back on, and the next time it plays. Oh, we just missed it at the end. Let me. So this is the sound of the fox. So that little song that you heard, that's known as the sound of the fox, or the just, it's just a little happy sound that you can hone in on using direction finding equipment. And then at the end of it is at the end of it, it'll modulate CW that essentially says Kilo Kilo 6 Lima Oscar Lima. And then it gives a website which you can find information about what it is, sacfoxhunt.com. And then it says Kilo Kilo 6 Lima Oscar Lima.
All right, Phil asked some questions. Let's see. He asked the purpose of your project is to try and create a beacon, or what's the total purpose, and how successful do you believe that putting this together has been working?
Oh, it's actually worked great. So the idea is that this is a beacon for amateur radio direction finding. So I have directional antennas. I'm working on a correlative interferometry rig for being able to find exactly shooting a bearing towards the beacon object and being able to hone in and find it across a large area. So the idea is this could be hidden somewhere within the greater Sacramento region. And within a day on a weekend, you can go find it.
How many fox hunters did you actually come up with in trying it out?
So far we've done it with just a small team of about 5.
Right, cool.
But I'm hoping to make it a little bit more formal and invite the larger ham community to come out here once it gets a little cooler.
And what frequency are you using? Something out of the way that nobody would hear?
Yeah, I'm using it's a 2-meter frequency 146525, which is according to the national band plan, the frequency used for fox hunting.
Okay. Is that the question you asked?
Not really.
Go ahead. See if you can hear it.
Well, if it acts like a computer, it has to be controlled. It's a remote transmitting device. It needs to be controlled by a controller. According to the FCC rules. Just like computers. As long as you have a transmitter out there, you have to have the ability to control it through a link. Whether it's a wire link or radio link. So radio link is 220 and above. Or so present if it's a remote, or somebody has to be present to turn it off if it goes into the lock mode.
Right.
There's a reason for remote control.
Yeah.
And how do you control that if it doesn't have another receiver on it? You use the control.
I think that's the whole point of the fox hunt frequency, is that you can put it out and assume that it's going to be found or is already a known location for the control, for the control operator to remove it at an appropriate time. So he used it as a training tool. I don't think he has an issue with the frequency if it's been the same frequency.
In fact, we have a fox hunt that we've tried to get together for picnic day in the past, and we've tried to actually co-locate a fox hunt on field days in the past 2 years, but we haven't had the turnout to get people to try it out.
I
So
did a lot of it when I was a young guy, down in San Luis Obispo. We had a club that did a lot of fox. We guys built little tiny transmitters and stick them inside a branch, things like that. And you barely couldn't find them. Just didn't know what they were. You could be right there sniffing them and not, but when you put a transmitter out in a remote location, you have to consider the fact that that transmitter has to be controllable.
Yeah.
any other questions for Joseph? All right, thank you, sir.
There you go.
I believe that's all our presenters. So our group is going to do their little judging over here. And in the meantime, I can say, looking through how we've had problems with computers here, it would be nice to have more than one computer or more than one person messing with it. Luckily, people are familiar with Zoom, as we've been using it for a few weeks, months, or years, at least through the club and then through your work as well. And it's handy to have people that were able to push the buttons to get most of everything working. So thank you, everybody.
It only took about 6 of us to get on Zoom and coordinate its functions.
Well, we also had a power outage, so our normal host for the Zoom session was offline. Carol had to host, so Carol ended up passing that through a phone, and I'm hosting it here. So it's really complicated to do it as a one-person show.
Good.
You did nice work.
But we succeeded.
Yeah. Points for you too.
Did it with a great attitude. So
Yeah.
hung in there.
My eyes stick out and my tongue is going, ah.
Yeah, well, we could tell.
All
We're
right.
all in it together, Tom. We're all in it together. You're among friends. That's a good thing, right?
Well, next time we will do it better.
How many people altogether? Anybody count?
Uh,
Participants on Zoom and number here?
We have about 14 people here, I believe, and online there was quite a list. Let's see what we've got here. Like,
Be nice to,
I saw a list on that one page. It looked like 20.
chat windows up. Let's see if I can get that off by itself and close it so I can
if
see.
you put it on that, the grid thing, it'll come up and fill the whole screen. You can count them. Should.
I don't want to push it.
Don't
Usually on the very bottom, actually everybody on this session can actually see the number of people that logged in. If anybody had the maximum, go ahead and let me know if we had a success or not online. It looks like we have maybe, from my display, at least 9.
If you take it back to the script mode, then you can
Go,
scroll
and
it
Gert,
down.
if you would like to come here and start pushing buttons, I'm just happy it's still working.
So I had about 20 people, 21 people tonight
All right, cool.
altogether.
All right.
There's at least 9 there.
Our Wednesday nights, we're having our normal nets on starting at 8 o'clock on 2 meters. And I actually know the 10 meter guy. He starts at 8:30. That's going to be me, Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra. I can tell you that if you're looking forward to contests next month, is the California CUSA party. That is a really fun contest, and everybody wants to talk to California. So if you participate, it has a variety of bands. So if you're on 10 meters, you can give it a try, or 20 is very popular. And it's nice to be the center of attention. It's not like you're a rare island in the Pacific and everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody wants to talk to California. Yes. go ahead.
Somebody from El Dorado Hills on 10's got a really strong signal. That's you?
Yeah.
No, that is not me. I'm a flatlander.
That's James, isn't it?
It's Bob.
Bob.
He's like 20 over 9 in my place. Everybody else is like S5,
Oh.
S3.
Yeah, it is nice.
Bob's the operator. James is the person that has the repeater.
Well, and we're not too far away. I live east end of Rancho Cordova, so it's only a few miles, but he's got a really. Well, he's got fun.
He's looking down on the valley on us, and it's nice to have him as one of our net control.
Yeah.
So I'm the one that's,
much longer though.
Carol and I are flatlanders. Apologies that you can't hear us most of the time, but I usually, Rancho Cordova is probably an easy shot.
El Dorado Hills? Yeah. Where's he going?
I actually have not heard it.
He's
Where-
moving to another place.
We go. It's like to announce it.
All right, we've got some results.
Just so everybody knows, this facility shuts down at 9 o'clock. And by the time it hits 9 o'clock, we need to be gone, chairs and the tables put back where they belong, so that's why I kind of push.
Yeah, so we got a wrap.
Our winner, grand prize winner is Wilson.
Whoa.
Thank
Thank you. He's the first runner up.
Oh, those are just empty envelopes.
Who's the runner up?
And IT help as well.
And then our newbie winner, or beginner, is Jane, who gets another $40.
Thank you.
Okay.
And our second place finisher is Joseph, $20. And he's gonna have to figure out how to trick JoJo to get him the money.
Or say, Joseph, you won $20, so glad you participated.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
I'll buy yours.
So out this way, we need to start closing up. So if anybody has discussions, I'm going to leave Zoom open, but I'm going to go away and mute myself. So thanks everybody for turning out, and we will record this. People that didn't get a chance to see much of it, it'll be on YouTube, and it's off of our website, n68.org. So thanks everybody for joining us.
Take care, everyone. Have a good evening. Bye-bye now.